You'll all be killed in 30 minutes unless he is here. Yo, Russians, let's go. Who the hell are you? Robert, housewares. Come get some. Shop smart, shop Homemart. The Equalizer came out in 2014. Yes, The Equalizer with Denzel Washington is nearly 10 years old. Oh my goddamn goodness, where has the time gone? And because The Equalizer 3 comes out in, well, just sometime tomorrow afternoon as of this recording, I decided to rewatch this. I'll have a review of the second one up just to see Denzel Washington fist ass and take names. I think I said that right, maybe not. But that being said, Taken, John Wick, Equalizer, actors in what should be the later stages of their lives and careers, getting action roles and kicking ass. Fun. It's fun. That's the one thing about The Equalizer is, while it is a bit long in the tooth, I will say that much, and there are going to be spoilers pretty much from right off the bat, it's at least fun, and Denzel Washington is a tremendous fucking actor. Has been tremendous for years and years and years. One of my favorite actors. Really, really great drama, action, doesn't goddamn matter. I mean, he made The Siege work. He made Unstoppable work. Unstoppable shouldn't have worked, but it worked because of him and a couple of the others. So yeah, Antoine Fuqua, who did Tears of the Sun, King Arthur 2004, that was a mess. Not even a hot mess, it was just a mess. Had Keira Knightley in it, that's about all I remember about that. As well as Shooter with Mark Wahlberg, Olympus Has Fallen, Southpaw, and various other movies. Check out his IMDb page for the full listing of his work. And also was written by Richard Wenk, who did Wenk, by the way, not Wank, Wenk. And he did or wrote movies such as 16 Blocks, Expendables 2, Equalizer 2, The Protégé. Do not watch The Protégé. Watch his other stuff. Watch other stuff that he wrote, because I'm convinced that The Protégé was actually used his name as a credit and was actually written by an AI program. A really badly programmed AI program, because it was terrible. So yeah, it's based on a TV series. I mean, check out IMDb. You might actually be surprised. This was actually a fairly popular TV series, even if it didn't run the longest ever. But no, I do remember The Equalizer television series. Denzel Washington stars as Robert McCall, who he's just working hard in the city at a place called Homemart, not Depot. Yeah, it's literally Home Depot. I mean, that's just what it is. They just change the stuff around. Maybe Homemart actually is a legit brand, and it's just an offshoot. I have no fucking idea. So, nevertheless, he's good to his fellow employees. He works hard. He's at home. He goes to a particular diner that's down the block, and he ends up meeting somebody named Terry, played by Chloe Grace Moretz, who I have thought just was on the rise of superstardom from Let Me In. She was great there. And she's only gotten better as time has gone on. Sure, Tom and Jerry wasn't all that great, but she was in Shadow in the Cloud, which was very entertaining, very shockingly entertaining. I did not expect to say that. She's great, though. She's fucking great. Martin Costas, I don't actually know how to say his name. He was in Aeon Flux, or however the hell you say it. David Harbour was in this. I forgot that David Harbour was in. See, I've seen the first two movies before. I just never got around to reviewing them. And also Halle Bennett, who was in Swallow a few years after this. That's a terrific movie you guys should check out. She was great in that. Bill Pullman was in this. And a few other people. So, yeah. Robert ends up seeing Terry abused by Russian gangsters and decides to take revenge. That's pretty much the movie right there. I mean, that's pretty much it. There's more stuff about, like, how they have their fingers in everything and everybody. Like, they have the cops on their side. Like, David Harbour's Masters. Not The Masterpiece. But the fun thing about this movie is just the fact that it actually was pretty successful at the box office. Budget about $55 million. Opening was $34.1 million. U.S. gross 101.5, worldwide 192.3. So it was more than successful enough to get a sequel. And then a sequel to the sequel. We'll see how the third one goes. So, yep, Robert just works his life, works hard, but he reads, and he's got a backstory. Of course he does. Obviously, why the fuck wouldn't he? You know, given the fact that he's working at this place. Maybe he messed up in life. No, he didn't mess up in life. He doesn't want to mess up other people because he can, because he's that skilled. So there's a guy named Ralphie, hey Ralphie boy, who he's trying to get into shape. Bigger lad, as it were. He's trying to get him into shape to help, or to get him a job as a security guard to really, really succeed. And it was a very Man on Fire vibe that I got from him and Terry. Thankfully, it didn't end like Man on Fire. I really would have rather not had the movie end like that, but nevertheless, good dialogue between them. I mean, it goes away from that because Terry gets written off pretty quickly. We get a little bit of a backstory about his wife. She was reading the 101, books that you should absolutely read in your life. And he's at book 91. And reading a book about a guy who thinks he's a knight, but he lives in a world where knights no longer exist anymore. Kind of a bit symbolic, absolutely symbolic. Just hit you in the head right there. She ends up in ICU because of a guy named Slavy. And then he decides to take revenge. She had like a bit of a budding music thing that she wanted to do as well, and she had a CD, a mixed CD, and he was going to listen to it. I don't think we ever got to hear it. I would like to have heard what Chloe Grace would have sounded like singing. And Robert is pissed. He offers to pay off Slavy to basically buy her freedom. He says, "That'll get you 1 month. I can make more than that with her in 2 weeks." And she's a child, so I could treat her like he's just making himself rather seem like a goddamn piece of shit. And then Robert times himself, basically says, 16 seconds, I can kill all these guys. And he slashes them, knifes them, shoots Slavy in the neck. And he bleeds out and everything. And he basically tells him, you're going to bleed out, you're going to die. You should have taken the offer, you didn't. And now you are fucked. So then from there, a guy named Teddy shows up, Martin, as it were. And work's going on at this point. Teddy basically is pissed because he's sent by this guy named Pushkin. Pushkin real good. Anyway. So he's kind of the de facto boss. Masters, played by David Harbour. And various other people are there. There's Ralphie basically quit because something happened at his family's business. So he's helping clean up. Faulty wiring. It turns out, actually, oh my God, there are some corrupt Boston cops. Boston makes them feel good. Boston cops, as it were. Who would have thought? So, yeah, Robert ends up basically beating them up and basically giving them a chance to do the right thing. You return the money you're extorting from these businesses or causing these issues, or I release this recording to the news and everything, which I assume he probably released anyway, but nevertheless. I did kind of like how they gave enough of a deal with Teddy. They gave him enough screen time, gave Robert enough screen time. I do think there were certain things they could have cut out at one point. There was first Teddy shows up pretending to be a cop to get answers from Robert. And that was fine. That made sense. But there was this one particular scene, even though I understand why they did. There was this robbery that took place at his work, and he could have beaten up the guy, but he didn't want to do it in front of the kids. So he walked outside, got the guy's license plate, got a sledgehammer off the goddamn thing. Why don't you call my name? And then it's implied that he took the guy out because the guy wanted the ring of one of the employees, Jenny. Now that's fine, but I get it. We get that that wasn't necessarily the worst thing. There were some slow-mo parts I think they could have cut out. There were some cool parts, regardless, but there was some padding. This movie probably shouldn't have been 2 hours and 10 minutes, with end credits. It could have easily been an hour 50 with end credits. That being said, we get more, we get more with Teddy trying to keep this operation going. Robert continues to cause issues. Teddy ends up killing Mandy because why the fuck wouldn't he? Because she was lying about not understanding or not having known Terry all that well, because Terry's totally disappeared. She totally disappeared after getting out of ICU. And it turns out that Robert actually gave her the money that he was going to give to Slavy to get her freedom. At least that's implied. Or the money fell out of the sky. Who the hell goddamn knows? So he goes to visit the plumbers, played by Bill Pullman and Melissa Leo. And it turns out that he was actually some kind of U.S. Marine CIA operatives, secret government, groupie guy. That's basically what he was. And that his wife died. Robert's wife died. That's why he is doing all this stuff. Reading and living a quiet life. Swore he would never go back to that whole goddamn thing. And then we get more attacks and more good action here. I mean, I'm not necessarily knocking it, but again, it started to try my patience a little bit towards the end. There was a funny point where basically the Russians are like, hey, we know how to get to him. We know where he works. Let's just capture all the employees that he knows, and we're going to hold them hostage, and hopefully he will come here and attack. And this is right after he had blown up a pipeline. See, that's how you blow up a pipeline. Neon Studios should have watched this and figured that out. I kid, of course. Check out how to blow up a pipeline, by the way. I believe it's currently streaming on Hulu. And all leading up to this, he has a confrontation with Teddy and basically tells a story about how there's this boy that was an orphan and may have caused the death of his foster parents that were kind to him. Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows what happens? Oh my God, it could have been that Teddy was just so goddamn insane that he did that. Because Robert's just that smart and can research all this shit. He gets Masters basically to go along with shutting down this part of the operation, which was actually kind of hilarious. The pipeline blowing up, that was some rough CGI. That really was. And then after Teddy and his remaining people have captured all these employees, now they must die. And since Robert knows that place inside now, shuts off the lights, has Ralphie as security, get more people out. Ralphie tries to help him. There's a fight between one guy where a guy almost gets the better of Robert, and he's stabbing him with some glass, so he gets him there. And then Teddy and him have a slow-mo, sprinkler thing. It's like in the rain, but it's not on your wedding day. It's inside when you're already late. And then he uses a nail gun and basically just destroys Teddy. Just destroys him completely. Fucking destroys him goddamn completely. Who the hell are you? Robert's houseware. Sorry, I couldn't help it right there. And then he goes to Moscow and kills that Pushkin guy by electrocuting him. After killing all the guards, apparently. Because Denzel Washington is a fucking badass. And then it turns out that Terry's fine. Terry finds him, says, basically thanking him for helping inspire her. And that's pretty much it right there. It's a fun movie, don't get me wrong. Again, a little bit long in the tooth. And it seems like they rectified that a little bit with the second one cutting off a few minutes. And the third one, apparently, is down to a nice and hopefully breezy hour and 49 minutes. Because sometimes action movies and revenge movies like this can only go so far before you think, okay, you probably should have maybe cut this part out. Few things they could have trimmed. That being said, pretty enjoyable because Denzel Washington, very, very good. And you can see why Chloe Grace has continued to get big roles and stuff like that with how good she was and stuff like this. And Let Me In, and even the Carrie 2013 movie, that wasn't all that good. You can see why, she's seen as a pretty big name actress. And also Denzel Washington. Fucking Denzel Washington's awesome. So, agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.